2. Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. You know, every time this guy comes on, I'm going to remind him, and I didn't even really, give you the pat on the back that I should have given you last week at Jennings when Matt Scurro was sizing up his Thriller, Lamar Jackson, Michael Jackson thing that he was wearing in the locker room and was getting major applause from the ESPN and the NFL Network crew on Sunday. Dennis Koulatsos, I never really applauded the fact that you were literally the first human being I talked to the morning after the draft, literally, who said you ordered your Lamar Jackson jersey and that after the adjustment of the mind and the adjustment of what this was going to be, that this was going to work out okay. And, dude, so far so good. I mean, if I'm Nestor Damos, you're Koulatsos. How about that? Is that fair?
That's very fair. But, Nestor, I based my excitement on just the 3 years of tape I'd watched of Lamar Jackson at Louisville. I couldn't believe how far he had dropped in the draft. It looked like he wasn't even going to be selected in the first round, right? He was sitting there. We have images of him laying his head on the table, his mother consoling him, and all of a sudden the phone rings, right? And so far, what a great moment that has been, not just for him, but also for Ravens history.
That's with Neil Diamond's song, right, recorded by the Monkees, I'm a Believer, right? You know what I mean,
gosh.
right?
Yes. It's just a phenomenal, where we were and where we are right now, Nestor. It's just an unbelievable journey with this young man.
Well, then, I've talked to Luke about this, and I guess to bring it full circle for where it was and where it is, anybody can go read the Peter King story. John Clayton was buzzing around. He came in from Seattle for the game, right? So, all the reporters are in. Diana Rossini. Hopefully get some of these folks on this week. Dan Pompei was in last week working on a Lamar story. They're all trying to figure out the secret of this, and you and I have talked at length about the boldness of the organization in the way DaCosta was always here and is not going anywhere, and the way this organization would concern itself with Marcus Peters for a third-day draft pick and a failed draft pick here from UCLA to rent Marcus Peters in a year where they believe they're going to be playing football in January and are going to need him against Patrick Mahomes or against Tom Brady or against Deshaun Watson again, come January. But, even getting a third-round compensatory pick or sandwich pick in 2021 has value when you buy green bananas. And when your pro personnel department, you all know about the births of all of your kids and all of your wives and all of your cousins, and you've been to baseball games and on planes and trains and automobiles for 2 decades together. Imagine sticking together with your fraternity friends or the guys in U2, the guys that you began the band with 30 years ago, and you're doing this again. And everyone buys into the magic of this kid with these otherworldly stats, right? And I guess this is where we measure this 17, 18 games into this, where he would be, 2 full college seasons in, now 1 full real NFL season and a playoff game in, where the gaudy stats of how many touchdowns he's going to run for, how many yards he's going to run for, how many attempts there's going to be, and then the margin of victory, when sometimes we look at these stats and they're like lies, damn lies, and statistics as to what the wide receiving core of the Ravens. I mean, some of this is very, very Carnival-esque. I mean, I said it was like Benny Hill, chasing him around, but the notion that this organization would go in the way they've gone in, the real story here is the strength of the franchise to me to be able to galvanize and make this kid shine the way he's shining right now.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Nestor. They were all giddy to get him. They kept it a secret exactly how much they liked him. Never even interviewed him at the Combine, but now we're seeing reports that Ozzie Newsome, Eric DaCosta, and Steve Bisciotti, they were all in on this young man. They had a methodical approach they used to trade back and trade up to get him again. But in John Harbaugh's post-game conference, I couldn't help but notice Eric DaCosta in the background just grinning from ear to ear. Ozzie Newsome was there. And you could just tell they looked like they had just bit into a Snickers bar. They were very satisfied staring at this team now in the locker room at 8-2 with the coach talking about stacking victories and about narrowing their focus. And they've come a long, long way with this young man. But Hollywood would be hard pressed to write the story. And for myself, Nestor, at the game, I wasn't looking at his stats. I didn't care. I just enjoyed him for who he is. I just enjoyed his athleticism, his leadership. And the only thing I asked in about the third quarter was one of my friends. I said, hey, what's the time of possession? That's the only thing I was interested in. But I just enjoyed the game, the leadership, the receivers make it high-pointing and grabbing contested catches out of the air. And how much better Lamar Jackson looked to me than Deshaun Watson. I mean, they looked like two different quarterbacks, and they wasn't even close.
Well, everywhere I go, right? So Ian O'Connor was in the locker room chasing down Harbaugh. He writes, he's doing a book on Coach K, and he's written books on the league, right? And I've had him on the program. And, the notion that this is now the epicenter of something new, right? I mean, I know that since the last time we got together, the Astros have now been indicted in the biggest scandal in Major League Baseball since the Black Sox, right? Or, but I digress. Back to football. They're on the front of an analytics thing here and a way and a movement, and they have a special player that can do this. But there's so many other elements that are going into this, including the defense. And this is where I go back to DaCosta, and I don't want to go crazy on him this week, but, I mean, they are 8-2, and, they did stick it out for this quarterback, and they did build around them the right way, not the way they've always done it, not the way they wanted to do it, not the way the salary cap would allow them to do it. They're doing it in a cohesive franchise. Nick Boyle will work well with Lamar Jackson, right? This offensive line, as comprised, Bradley Bozeman's the right kind of guy for this system, right? Maybe not for the Joe Flacco system, but for this system. Willie Snead, probably not in every system, but here it works. Same thing with Seth Roberts. And they brought these guys in, and you look down the sheet, say two catches, one catch, two catches, and it's paper cuts, right? But it's the defense for me the last 6 weeks, and I went on a rampage on Houston radio about this on Friday when they had me on, because they're always asking me, like, what's the secret with the Ravens and whatnot? And I said, they have a front office that went out and got Josh Bynes and got L.J. Ford, and they pick up Damata Pekka last week and Ellis last week, and they go out and they make this deal for Mark. I mean, the amount of bodies out on the field who are NFL veteran guys, not fifth-round pick we got to play, not undrafted free agent guy. We got guys that they have gone out and onto the scrap heap or onto the street or onto the veteran market, and they have brought in guys that, I mean, Dennis, it's damn near plug and play. And in the history of the NFL, we haven't seen a lot of trades because, like, theoretically, it's too tough to come in and learn a system that quickly and to be able to catch up with the other 10 guys out on the field and terminology, to not be a liability 4 days after you walk through the door, right? And 4 days after he walked through the door, Josh Bynes gets a pick in Pittsburgh, right? 4 days after he walks in the door, Marcus Peters gets a pick and runs into the end zone, right? So the personnel, I mean, it all smells good right now because all of it's working. And every year there's a grand plan. Very few times does it exceed how good you even think it can be. And I think that they're all sort of walking on eggshells to some degree because it shouldn't look this easy, beating the third best team in the AFC 41-7 and making it look like a walk in the park.
Yeah, I think you touched on a lot of key points, Nestor. The organization as a whole is phenomenal. They didn't make a big splash signing. They didn't give up a king's ransom for Jalen Ramsey like the Rams did. And Marcus Peters, what a great addition he's been. They tried Jimmy Smith and Marlon Humphrey on DeAndre Hopkins. Didn't have much success. But once they put Marcus Peters on DeAndre, he shut him down. What a great addition he's been. And the one person we didn't mention, we talked about him to Matt Skora the other night, is Mark Ingram. How fun is Mark Ingram? His impact on the field in the locker room has been nothing short of phenomenal. When you get a veteran that has such a great attitude, outlook like a rookie, but still has that NFL experience, what a great addition he's been in terms of adding that fire to that locker room and keeping everybody on loose, on an even keel, and just having fun, right? And this team has also had some great health to the process, but it sure has been a lot of fun to watch. And the front office, I mean, they've done so many great moves. They haven't mortgaged their future by any means. And we have some great cap space. We have a bunch of draft picks. We've got some compensatory draft picks coming our way. The future is very bright. The one thing we pray for is health for everybody on this team, because that's the only thing that can derail this train.
Dennis Koulatsos joining us here. He will join you on Thursday afternoon from 3 until 5. We're going to have a special edition next Tuesday after the Rams game from 3 until 5 as I make my way back from the City of Angels, City of Light, yeah. Dennis Koulatsos will be around the Dennis Koulatsos Show. He's now The Koulatsos Show out on Twitter as well. Anything you want to say about the dealership here this week? I mean, like, we're a week out on Black Friday. I'm assuming there'll be plenty of leftover turkey and gravy. I mean, if you want to get me over there, you better have some sauerkraut. You know that, though, already.
Oh, absolutely. We always have great food here at Coons Ford Baltimore, and there's a lot of buzz about Ford Motor Company. They just released the Mach-E, which is basically a four-door Mustang SUV. It's all electric. People are placing pre-orders on it already. We took 22 orders overnight. It's a great, great vehicle, and Black Friday savings are nothing like those. Lots of money, cash back on the hood, still 0% for 72 months. It's great business to do business where business is good. And there's no other more vibrant in place than Coons Baltimore Ford. We are to the auto industry what the Baltimore Ravens are to the NFL right now.
0%, 72 months. Wow, okay. I heard that again,
right? Deal. It's a deal. Plus cash back. I mean, and we give top dollar for trade-ins. It's always a wonderful time. And look, the Ravens do good. We do good. The town is just buzzing. Everybody's in a great mood. Everybody's wearing purple. We're back to the good old days, Nestor. We really are.
Well, I want to do a little throwback to you 2 years ago and the knee and the bad vibes and all that. When all that was happening, Deshaun Watson was starting to flourish, right? And he had been overlooked. And I remember at that time, everybody was like, why can't we get a kid? And Dak Prescott was playing well at that point. And, along the lines of the Josh Rosens and the poor kid from Chicago, Trubisky, and, these guys that don't make it. I mean, I ran into Kyle Bowler a couple of weeks ago. I know I had a long chat with you about that. And the guys that don't make it, and then there's the Lamar Jacksons. Deshaun Watson's a guy that we have praised here for almost 3 full seasons. Injury and non-contact and, the whole deal. And even last week, this is going to be a shootout. That's why the Peter Kings and the John Claytons and the Jeffrey Chahadas and these guys all came into town to see this gun show and this rematch of Clemson-Louisville. And boy, oh boy, Deshaun signing MVP jerseys away, and there's a lot of mutual respect and all of that, but I don't know. I mean, you think Deshaun Watson comes in here the second week of January, and we see something else, because we're starting to look at this and say, all right, well, there's New England and there's us in New England, and we took care of them, and maybe they lose, and we're rooting for the friggin' Eagles, and God bless you, Schwartz. I pulled for you on Sunday, but didn't work out so good, but, maybe we get a bye. I don't want to say probably a bye. I don't want to go that far. I haven't even had turkey yet. I still got to fly to the West Coast next week. We got to go to Buffalo, Lord knows, right? Out to Cleveland for Christmas. Things happen. So we still got to play Jimmy Garoppolo. There's games here. I'm not penciling them in at 14-2, Dan. I'm not. It smells real good until you kick the ball around, until there's an injury or God, whatever happens, right? But you start to say, all right, it's January now. Who, what, when, why, what quarterback, what team, where the Bills, who are we going to see in January and under what circumstances, and who's going to come and beat us here?
Yeah, all great points. Pete DeLutis pointed out to me that the last couple of years, beginning with the knee, it took some effort and thought for me to go to the stadium. And we've come such a long way, my family and I now, we can't think about not going to the stadium. Now it's an event again. We look forward to attending, and it's nice to see the enthusiasm being built up. It's nice to see new faces at the stadium, a new generation of NFL fans, a new generation wearing number 8 jerseys everywhere. So that's the best thing I think that's happened in this town. The love affair with the Baltimore Ravens has been reignited, and could be brighter and better than ever with a new fan base being built right now. In addition to the older fan base like myself and yourself, still have the fire and the passion for the team. When you mix those two together, the stadium was extremely loud. Definitely made a difference. So Watson was having a hard time getting his calls out there. And shout out to the fans because they did make a big difference in the outcome of the game.
Well, I'm off to Hollywood this week. Maybe I should wear my sunglasses all week like Saragusa or Lamar Jackson or somebody like that. It is an exciting week here, Den. I know we got holidays ahead, all sorts of good things and good vibes, and this sort of brings it all home why we invest our time and how much fun it can be. The walk home from the stadium, I must have missed you by moments because I saw you and your wife post a picture with Ladarius Webb. Mm-hmm. He threw, I saw him taking pictures with people 20 feet from where you took a picture with him after the game. So, we're all just in this thing. My wife saw Dan Wilcox down on the field. I'm texting him. He's coming on this week. So, all the old home guys, Jamal Lewis was at I saw J.O. at the game on Sunday, and it's nice. It's people are going to come back to this, and if they haven't already, and there's a real long slope on this, right? Like the purple lights, you're allowed to break those out next week, right? So maybe like whatever your Christmas tree, whatever your religious holiday is, Festivus, that the purple lights will go onto the buildings, for the next 6 weeks, and there'll be this crescendo to whatever games hopefully we're involved in January, and I'm stoked. I got my wife a flight down to Miami already. What can I say, Well,
Nestor, even the most optimistic of us would have never predicted an 8-2 record after 10 games. You have to like our position with just 6 games left, not just in the division, but as you mentioned, in their playoff position. That's what they're playing for now, and I think that's what Coach Harbaugh talked about, and narrow your focus. They're playing for something bigger, led by Lamar Jackson. He's not worried about the MVP. The MVP award will take care of itself. The young man won Super Bowl, and then after that he won Super Bowls, and we're very fortunate to have him as our leader.
Hey, man, have you ever heard the stadium rock with that chant? You know what I mean?
Never,
literally,
never.
even, honestly, even like at Camden Yards, in my whole career of doing this, I've heard that chant places, right? I've heard that chant in St. Louis on Kurt Warner. I'm just trying to think in my mind. I've been a lot of places. I've been to 75 World Series games. I've been to a lot of big games on the road where, you're going and playing the back. So I've heard things. Like, I still think the incomplete chant in Denver's the best chant of all time. And, I'm not a big fan of the Wave, but I do like the OK Blue Jay thing in Toronto. But the MVP chant in our stadium, I actually walked out of the press box 2-minute warning. I'm up in the upper deck the first 3 quarters, and I felt the stadium roaring with it, And it really gave me Memorial Stadium sort of, gosh, we can still be a great sports town. You know what I mean?
No doubt about it, Nestor. When the Ravens selected Lamar Jackson, Hayden Hurst, and Mark Andrews, and Hollywood Brown, and Miles Boykin, I told Pete DeLutis, look, offense sells tickets, so their plan is to get the offense going, score some points, and draw fans back to the stadium.
Is that the Pete DeLutis whose mom was famous for that picture with Mark Ingram?
Yes, and what
same
a great
one.
picture that was. That was insane. That was wonderful.
Pete DeLutis'
right?
mom is Mary Lou, whose brother Tom was on my dad's Little League team when I was a bat boy in 1973 for the Colgate Pirates. True story. We have the pictures. She was featured prominently in the Raven shot of Mark Ingram doing that's not the Lambeau leap. What is that? That's the purple pimp? I don't know. I'm coming up with something here. But whatever that thing is he did, we have an NST connection there. So this bud's for you. How about that?
The most amazing part of that leap, Nestor, was he didn't knock over a single cup. I don't know how Mark Ingram managed to do that, but that's a supremely talented individual that can perform that leap and not knock any cups over. That's
sort of like
incredible.
that Bud Light guy down in D.C., right? Remember him?
Yeah, it was just, absolutely, really, really wonderful. So great stuff. You just can't make this stuff up. And again, it's just great to be part of this enthusiasm and having some civic pride and some positive news that we need that we can use desperately here in Baltimore these days.
You know, I always wanted to go on American Idol or, one of these shows with Simon Cowell and have him say, "You're on to Hollywood." So this week, I get to say to everybody, I'm on to Hollywood. How about that?
All right, have fun and bring us back a victory.
Hey, man, I'm adding the L.A. Memorial Coliseum, Dennis. You know how tickled I am about this. I get to add a stadium next week. After all these years, still adding stadia.
You can add a stadium, and hopefully Lamar Jackson can add another pelt to his wall in the form of Jared Goff. He's got a Deshaun Watson, a Tom Brady, and also Russell Wilson pelt on his wall this year. And that's I like those pelts on his wall. They add up, they stack up, and hopefully they're going to lead us to where we want to go.
I'm going to find out where that Michael Jackson, where he did the first moonwalk, with the white glove. I was in L.A. somewhere, how far away from Memorial Coliseum that is, because it's Hollywood week here at WNST. Dennis Koulatsos, you can find him over Coons Florida Security Boulevard, sponsoring our WNST tech service, where you get all the breaking news as it happens. And, of course, the Dennis Koulatsos Show, heard Thursday this week, but Tuesday next week because of the holiday, and it'll be in the aftermath of the Rams game, which you'll want to hear from him anyway, an afternoon drive while I'm flying back from Los Angeles, California. That's what I should get Van Earl right on. Yes, I got to get Van Earl on. Thank you for reminding me of that, audience. Thank you, Dennis. You always make me think of the good ones. Van Earl, right. I'm getting Kevin Frazier this week. I'm chasing all my LA friends this week. Why not, right? I mean, Sable House, I'm coming to find you and your Dunbar movie. Anybody sees Bobby, tell him. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 WNST, Taos in Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.